Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and the end of the year is officially here. So, here are my top 20 of my favorite films of 2019. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at MovieGuy365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will leave a link for that in the description. All right, 2019 is almost over. It is New Year's Eve as of this recording. So I'm going to give you what I feel are the top 20 of my favorite films of 2019. So I know I've been doing top 10s up to this point, but there's just too many good movies this year that I really enjoyed. Both I felt were the best movies and I felt were some of my favorites. And there was a little bit of crossover. I was going to do two separate lists, but I thought it would just be a little too confusing. So I just merged the list together, and these are going to be my top 20 films of 2019. Now remember, these are all subjective. Your favorites are going to be, of course, different than mine. So I'm anxious to hear what your favorite movies of 2019 are in the comments. All right, let's dive right into this thing. So my number 20 is going to be Booksmart, directed by Olivia Wilde. Something about this movie, I think a movie that I'm not expecting much and I thoroughly enjoy is really kind of a rare thing. So, you know, you go into a lot of movies with expectations or low expectations, high, but sometimes when you go in just kind of almost a blank slate, it's a welcome surprise to what you actually get. And I think it's a very funny film. It's very cleverly written. I really thought they were going one direction in the first few minutes. I was glad that I was proven wrong, because I probably would have hated it if they would have continued along that path. But they didn't. It's a good comedy. Billie Lourd is excellent in this one, as she has a supporting role, but she's funny as hell. And I just really enjoyed this one quite a bit. So that one is going to be my number 20. And I just felt remiss not putting this one on the list, because I really felt it was a strong movie from Olivia Wilde. My number 19 is going to be Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Produced by Guillermo del Toro, and this is another one that when a PG-13 is as creepy and as scary as this one is, this is how you do a PG-13 horror film, and you do it well. Like, I was immersed into the world. I know they're based off of books, which I have not read, and I would like to change that at some point, but everything worked in this one. The cast of characters were unknowns for the most part, and they were likable, and you were invested in their story, and it was just a good creepy thing. The ending, while I liked it, I wish they would have kind of committed to the finality of the ending. I think that would have worked 100%. Would have probably made my list a little bit higher. But this one, I still enjoyed it quite a bit, and I just like this movie a lot. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. My number 18 is going to be Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Directed by Richard Linklater and starring Cate Blanchett. This is really more of a personal thing, but I love Richard Linklater stuff. I mean, everything from the Before trilogy, which is one of my favorite trilogies of all time, to, you know, Everybody Wants Some, and Boyhood, and Dazed and Confused, who could forget that one. I love everything the guy puts out. I don't really think there's a movie that he's ever done that I just have not liked. And I really just, it's good Linklater stuff. It's a charming tale. Cate Blanchett's brilliant in it. And it's a lot of fun. I really would like to have gotten this on 4K but we only got a Blu Ray physical release. But it's still a good movie. I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm a big fan of Linklater, and this is another return to form for him. My number 17 is going to be Netflix's The Irishman. This one probably would have been a little bit higher in the list, but I felt it's still worthy inclusion because it's Martin Scorsese. It's got all the iconic, actors that he's worked with for the most part, and it's a good tale. I do feel it drags on about 30 minutes too long. I think they could have nipped and, tucked a little bit here and there, but it's Martin Scorsese and an organized crime flick. What's not to love about that? And, I'm a fan. I really could I'll plan to do a video one day all about Martin Scorsese and his work. But yeah, I was very happy to see this one. As I said, I felt dragged on a little bit too long. CGI was a little dodgy in places, but I think for the most part, it just works. And it's a good movie. It's worth watching, especially if you have Netflix. Hopefully we'll get a physical release one day. That would be amazing. But yeah, The Irishman will be my number 17. My number 16 is going to be Uncut Gems, starring Adam Sandler. I literally just saw this one, and unfortunately it did bump a title off the list because I really loved it. I thought it was good. It was something different. I mean, for me, I was never a diehard Sandler fan. I mean, yeah, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison are like staples. But then I think he was going too much in the Eddie Murphy direction, where it was just making too many family-friendly-ish kind of films, and he kind of lost his way. But when he was in Punch Drunk Gloves, I love that movie. I absolutely loved it. I loved him in the role. So I like it when he does something that's not kind of pandering to like the 5-year-olds. And this movie was intense. It was really just kind of one of those films that you're holding your breath throughout the movie because you know something's going to happen. And when it does, it still punches you in the gut, and it really gives you that feeling of, wow, like, okay, I didn't see that coming where I should have. And he's really good in it. It's a good story. It's very compelling. And you definitely need to check out Uncut Gems. I mean, no matter what you think of Adam Sandler, just look at it, the work. And he does a great job in it. And it's just a cool movie overall to watch. My number 15 is going to be Crawl. This is another one of those I was not expecting much, and I got more than I wanted. And it was a good alligator, hurricane heist type film, where it's just like set in the backdrop of a hurricane, and there's, just intensity. And I feel that the CGI in this movie in particular was so well done that I was questioning whether those were real alligators or not. And I was shocked when I found out they're mostly CGI. That is how you do good CGI. It's a good story. I felt the small cast really kind of was the big focus and allowed them to breathe and be three-dimensional characters. And it's fun. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and it's a good thriller. You definitely should check out Crawl. It is absolutely worth your time. My number 14 is going to be Alita Battle Angel. I love the movie. I think it's good Robert Rodriguez stuff. It does kind of move into like, oh, we're doing a lot of world building and we're kind of setting ourselves up for the future. I wish films would stop doing that. I think it should be done organically. You don't have to kind of like, make a movie in mind where you're doing a sequel. Have it in the back of your mind, but lay the little eggs here and there. But the setup for like the inevitable sequel, or maybe not so inevitable, is a little bit kind of, you notice it. But when we get, like, it's good 3D effects. I saw it in Dolby 3D. I had a lot of fun with it. It was one of the best 3D movies I've seen in years. It's a good story. The cast is pretty good. And it's just it's a good world to inhabit. And it's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. And it's absolutely worth checking out if you haven't had the chance to see it. It's based off of an anime, and I think they did a really good job with it. I've never read the source material, but I hear it's really, really pretty close to being faithful to it. So, Alita Battle Angel is going to be my number 14. My number 13 is going to be The Peanut Butter Falcon, starring Shia LaBeouf. Once again, I didn't have a lot expectations going into this one. This was highly recommended to me by a lot of trusted sources that I go by, and I was very glad I checked it out because it's fantastic. It's a good small movie. It has good cast of characters that just do a fantastic job. And it just kind of, it's like that warm blanket kind of feeling a movie will give you. Like, whether it's nostalgia or it's just like the simplicity in its nature. It doesn't have some overarching, villain twirling his mustache or anything like that. It's a tale that easily could happen today. It easily could be a true story. And it's so much fun. It's just a good, endearing movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It looks fantastic. And I think the cinematography is pretty awesome in this film all. And Shia LaBeouf, when he's not being crazy, he makes good movies, and this is one of them. You should check it out. It's really cool, it's a lot of fun, and it has a lot of heart to it. My number 12 is going to be Parasite. This was another one. I went in purely based off of word of mouth, how good it was, and it really is. It lives up to the hype. It's a very clever movie, and it has a lot of things going, a lot of working parts, but the characters are very compelling. It's an interesting story. You're sitting on one side thinking it's going to be one kind of movie, and then by the end, it completely subverts your expectations of how this turns out. It's really, I don't want to say anything necessarily about like what it is about, because there's some kind of spoilery stuff in it. But it's very well done, it's well directed, and I really want to just go back and revisit the director's previous film, Trans-Siberian. It's been a number of years since I've seen it, but I do want to check that one out again. But yeah, Parasite, absolutely give this one a shot. You won't regret it. My number 11 is going to be Marriage Story from Netflix, starring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. Wow. This one is an emotional gut punch, and it really kind of it hits you hard, and it makes you mad. It makes you laugh. And especially if you've been in a situation similar to this one, basically, it's really about a couple getting a divorce. And if you have been through that, I felt a lot more in my particular case. It was that gut-wrenching, but the performances were second to none. I feel Adam Driver in particular really sold the hell out of this one. Scarlett Johansson's wonderful too. I feel that she was really good and did a good. They complemented each other very nicely. But this was definitely Adam Driver's movie, and you feel it, and it's devastating. It's just really that kind of movie. It's not something you're gonna watch every day, but you should watch it at least once. It's that good, and I applaud Netflix for putting a movie like this out and just having really just a good film experience. My number 10 is going to be Jordan Peele's Us. I love the movie. I really do. I think Jordan Peele's the first 15 minutes of this movie was him just being a master filmmaker, in my opinion. It loses a little bit of steam towards the end. There's way too many questions that aren't, you have to, I'm all for ambiguity, I really am, but you kind of have to at least hold our hand a little bit on like explanations, and I feel that was kind of lost in the wind towards the end. I still love the film though. I think it was fantastic. Atmospherically, it's probably one of my top 3 of the year. It's just wow, it's just a good movie overall. It shows off Jordan Peele's prowess as a director. I mean, he's only directed 2 movies at this point. That is just, give this guy whatever he wants at this point. I would love to see him do a sci-fi or something to that effect, but I hear his next film is going to be back in horror again, so I think he's sticking to the genre for the time being. But when he starts adventuring outside that genre, I think he could do a lot of damage as far as how well these movies are. Like, this is good stuff. Absolutely check out Jordan Peele's Us. My number 9 is going to be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Tarantino. I know this one, I've heard a lot of comments, especially when I've talked about the movie, and they feel that it moves slow, it's boring. That's Tarantino a lot of times. I think a lot of people forget that though. A lot of his earlier films especially are very methodic. You draw them out a bit. Even more recent films like The Hateful Eight are like that. I can kind of see their point, but I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel bored in the theater. I didn't feel like I was checking my watch. And at the same time, it's Quentin Tarantino at his best. I really think it's good. Brad Pitt, I feel, is really fantastic here. And it's a good movie. It's a good Tarantino flick. I would say, if I'm going to redo my Tarantino list, I'll probably put this in the top 5, in my opinion. I really think it's a strong entry from him. And I hope we see more. I mean, I know he keeps threatening to quit after 10 movies, but, whatever. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic film. Absolutely worth checking out. Tarantino, I mean, I'm instantly interested in whatever the guy does. And I'm going back to Jordan Peele for a second. I feel that he's another director that I'm going to go based off the director. And Tarantino's one of those. So yeah, absolutely check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It sits nicely at my number 9. My number 8 is going to be Dr. Sleep. I'm a big fan of The Shining to begin with. I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad they didn't necessarily retread what had come before with The Shining. It was its own entity, its own movie. Got a little bit, that way at the end in the 3rd act, but I still enjoyed the hell out of it. They're going to be releasing it shortly on Blu Ray and digital, and it's going to include 30 minutes of additional footage, so this may be higher on my list or lower on my list depending on that, but as it stands right now for the theatrical, I mean, Dr. Sleep is a wonderful movie. Ewan McGregor, I don't think he gets enough credit, and I think movies like this really kind of flesh him out, and he does a good job in this. And I feel the little girl who played our main protagonist was awesome. She was really good in this one, and of course, Rebecca Ferguson is just mesmerizing as Rose the Hat. Good film, loved it. Absolutely recommend this highly. My number 7 is going to be Brightburn. Superhero, supervillain origin story. I loved it. This, and I know I've said this before on my channel, this movie was horribly marketed. It was marketed way too much as a horror film. It's not a horror film. It is like if you had made a supervillain origin story. I really think they should have stuck to that in the marketing. It might have gotten more attention. because it's very good. I think it's really awesome. It's really basically the what if of like if Superboy, or Kal-El grew up to be like evil, like if he was just wrong, like just that. That's to me like more fascinating than some just straight-laced kind of origin story. I like this one a lot. It's James Gunn produced, and I think he did a great job with the choice of director. It could have maybe used about 20 minutes more. I think a little bit more of a fleshing out would have been great, would have been perfect. But it's very atmospheric. It's super villainy. It's just cool. I want to see this world explored more in sequels. I really do. While it's not the best made movie on this list, this is one of the films I enjoyed the most. And I think, me being a huge, superhero fan, I love movies like this. I'm all about the bad guy, and I think it's very underappreciated. If I was doing an underappreciated list of 2019, this would easily be top 3. It really is like that for me. I love the film. Absolutely check out Brightburn if you get the chance. My number 6 is going to be Ready or Not. I think Samara Weaving absolutely started her career. She's done stuff before, but I think this one really kind of put her on the map, in my opinion. I love the movie. It's a great thriller, and I was having a discussion with this about this topic the other day. A lot of people thinking it's a horror film, but it's actually not. It has like 1% of horror, but I think generally I would label this one as a thriller. It definitely has that vibe to me. It's just a fantastic film. Atmospheric as hell. I mean, it's a lot of like nighttime, indoor, creepy mansion type stuff, but it is just a cool premise, and I think it sticks the landing beautifully, and it has a great final line at the end that I felt was really, really good. I just enjoyed this film quite a bit. It is fantastic overall, and you know what? It's great. You definitely should check it out. It's one of those that is once again underappreciated, but absolutely check out Ready or Not. I don't think you're going to regret it. It's a really cool flick. My number 5 is going to be The Lighthouse. Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe. It's a small movie, and but it doesn't feel that way. It definitely has. It's all about the atmosphere. I mean, this would be probably my most atmospheric movie of 2019. This one is all about just a good dialogue. It feels like a play. It feels like a good stage play, but it has a good just payoff. It's a character study. You're wondering things, is he thinking this? Is he this? It's really just a fantastic movie overall. I think the performances are second to none. It just really shows off the range that we all know that Willem Dafoe can do his stuff. We know that already. But Robert Pattinson's still kind of earning those stripes, and I think he does a good job here. It's really just a fantastic overall tale. And that's the best thing I can say. It's a tale. It's just a good movie. It has kind of a very interesting ending. I really dug it. It has like a little bit of a horror vibe to it. I got a big Tales from the Crypt, feelings from it. It's a cool flick. Absolutely check it out. It's coming out soon digitally and on disc. So definitely check out The Lighthouse if you get a chance. My number 4 is going to be Joker. This is another film that I was really just kind of down on because Todd Phillips is okay. He's okay as a director, but he's nothing like I'm going to go to a movie to see a Todd Phillips film. I feel Joker really kind of changed that to a degree. It's still like very early, but I really enjoyed the movie. Joaquin Phoenix is amazing as Arthur, and it's a good movie. It's just really one of the best of the year to me. I left the theater, once again, not expecting much, but then I just enjoyed what I saw so much. It absolutely stuck with me. I can't wait to watch this one again. It's a beautifully made movie. It asks a lot of questions, answers few, but I think it does it in a good way. It's not one of those that leaves you hanging, you're kind of searching around. But I think if you could draw your own conclusions, or, if you're the kind of person that needs everything spelled out, I think you can still appreciate it. It really kind of gives you that like final ending in a degree. Yeah, they could continue it. I'm kind of hoping they don't, but I enjoy this one a lot. I think this one works better as a one-off, but we may get a sequel at some point. But yeah, Joker, absolutely one of the best films of the year in my opinion. It's really good. It sits nicely at number 4. My number 3 is going to be Taika Waititi's Jojo Rabbit. This is another one I feel would make that underappreciated list I mentioned earlier. And wow, like this is a movie that really just, if you're watching The Mandalorian, the show just ended and Taika Waititi directed the last episode. that's, in my opinion, was the best episode. And this is one of the best movies of 2019 because he does such a good job with both the lighthearted elements, the typical flair of light comedy and so forth, and then just punches you in the gut with it, and then you kind of come back from it. In order for a director to do that effectively, it's talent, and he really shows it off here. Such a good movie. It's a lot of heart. And believe it or not, it just works. 100% does this movie work. And I absolutely love it. I can't wait to watch it again. But yeah, you should check out Jojo Rabbit at least once. Make that a must-see for 2019. My number 2 is going to be Midsummer. Another one. You know, I was a huge fan of Ari Aster as the director of Hereditary, and I couldn't wait to check this one out because it sounded like a very interesting premise. And this is another one that's definitely, you know, not for everybody. But if you liked Hereditary, I think you're going to enjoy this one. It's a slow burn, but this one's all about just what's happening. You know, there's a lot going on there. It is a well-shot movie, and there's a lot of craziness in it. But it's, you know, once again, I wouldn't call it a horror film. It's definitely a messed up, twisted fairy tale in a lot of ways. But yeah, definitely check out Midsummer. Now, they also released a director's cut, which is available currently on iTunes. You can import the physical release disc over from Amazon Italy. That may change to more worldwide availability. But you should check out if you enjoyed this movie, definitely check out the director's cut. I kind of prefer the pacing a little bit more on the theatrical, but I still really enjoyed the director's cut of this one. It was a lot of good information there. It complemented the movie. It didn't take anything away, and it didn't make the movie drag. But it's really, you have to see this one, guys. You really do have to see this one. And my number 1, who, if you've paid attention to the channel at all, you probably know this one. But my number 1 is going to be Avengers Endgame. This is absolutely just a near perfect movie for me. You know, look, is it the best made movie of 2019? No. Come on, there's way more on this list that would beat that. But for my personal enjoyment and my favorite, I just am everything about how the Marvel Universe was created in a cinematic form. I think it's been, you know, it's been awesome all around. It hasn't been perfect. Yes, there are some lowlights, of course, throughout the series. But I feel that this movie has, for almost a 3-hour movie, excellent pacing. I don't feel bored at any point. Everything has a purpose, and it brings everything together. You get those fan service moments that I feel that were earned and that they try to do over at The Rise of Skywalker, and it just didn't work in that case. But here, it earned every single moment of that film, and it just gave me everything I wanted. It was my absolute favorite movie of 2019. I'm getting ready to restart the entire series at home, and big hats off to the Russo brothers, everybody involved. To me, Avengers Endgame is my best movie of 2019. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for being part of my channel. We're going into 2020. It's New Year's Eve. I want to wish everybody a happy New Year's. And let me know in the comments below, please. What are your favorite movies of 2019? What are the best films that you saw this year? I really want to talk about it. Until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.